Friends, good morning again, and I welcome you all in this class of video lecture. This is MA Previous English Literature, Paper 2, and we have been doing John Donne's A Valediction Forbidding Mourning for last couple of days. So we have done this poem, its explanation part. We have done its paraphrasing. We have also done its line to line explanation, and today we are supposed to have a critical outlook of the poem, since each poem has some of the critical approach which we are supposed to keep in our mind for examination purpose, for understanding purpose, for comprehension purpose. So, friends, firstly, again, though it is a kind of repetition, but this repetition is necessary for all of us. That why do we consider Donne to be an important poet? What earned Donne and his fellows the label metaphysical poets was the habit of philosophical argument of the kind just illustrated. This is important. There has been a sort of philosophical argument raised in the poems of Donne. And the second more important thing is the use of extravagant and far-fetched imagery. Extravagant, hyperbolic, which is rarely used imagery, far-fetched, which one cannot easily believe, sometimes technical in substance. And the most important example of this kind is the flea, the love poem. The flea, for instance, the lover playfully builds a persuasive argument for feminine surrender on the basis of the fact that flea has sucked the blood of speaker and lady alike, thereby already mingling their bloods. Donne is at his finest in his short poems, but he worked on a more extended scale in the satires, busy commentaries on topical affairs and current types, harsh in tone, and in the elegies, a series of extremely diverse poems on various aspects of love. This is the point which you have to keep in your mind. So similarly, the poem which we have done, valediction forbidding mourning, the lover, the beloved the lover and the beloved are compared to two needles of a compass. So there, the compass imagery has been very important. So this poem, A Valediction Forbidding Mourning, is one of its better known poems of Donne for its conceit of the compass. For its conceit of the compass, the poem is very important. It was written in 1611. The poem was addressed to the poet's wife. It was written at the occasion of the poet's departure for France with Sir Robert Drury. The poem reflects the conjugal strain of love. And the basic theme of the poem is the union of two lovers, even when they are physically separated. And the poet piles up a number of arguments to prove the point, and thus to persuade his beloved not to grieve at the time of his departure for France. First, he points out that when virtuous people die, they do not mourn to grieve to heaven. Similarly, true lovers, like virtuous men, should welcome separation, for such separation does not mean a break in their love. Rather, it means an assertion of the spiritual nature of their love. Theirs is a spiritual love, something divine and holy, and not to mourn and weep would be a vulgarization of it. Its mystery must not be revealed to the world. Even they are not able to understand the mystery of love. More importantly, the poet likens their separation to the movement of the spheres. This movement is violent, more violent than that of the earth during an earthquake, and still it doesn't cause any injury or harm. Similarly, spiritual love is not affected by the movement or separations. It is only earthly love which breaks and cracks when there is separation. Love is not love which alters, right? So, for what important points the poem is significant? The poem brings out Donne's use of hyperbole, his use of uh, compound words, tear floods, sight tempests, his scholastic learning, his use of fantastic far-fetched conceits, and his habit of argumentation to establish some initial proposition. In this poem, as mentioned by uh, Lashman, I caught argument, logical structure, and what we may roughly call substance are really inseparable. I uncaught. Logic has been transformed into poetry. Sense has been fused with sensibility. So, this is a, a remarkable poem for its imagery. The lovers are compared to a pair of compass. The poem shows Donne's medievalism and scholasticism. So, I think you have been able to understand the poem, and sometimes, as far as examination purpose is concerned, these four lines often come for explanation. This is that stanza. Uh, but we by love so much refined that ourselves know not what it is, interassured of the mind, careless, eyes, lips, and hands to miss. This particular stanza comes for explanation, right? This is for unit 1 purpose, and this is again one important stanza I caught. If they be two, they are two so, as stiff twin compasses are two. Thy soul, the fixed foot, makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. So this is again and one more where the poet talks of the movement of the spheres is also important for examination purpose. I quote that moving of the earth brings harms and fears. Man reckon what it did and meant, but repetition of the spheres, though greater far, is innocent. This is the poet compares their movement to the movement of the spheres which take place far away in space. Just and it doesn't cause any harm and injury, though the movement of the earth causes harm and injury during earthquake, right? But the movement of the heavenly bodies, stars, spheres is not harmful, just as their separation, their movement. So this is a poem on, true love, on union of the two lovers, on the spiritual approach in love relationship. And friends, you also read some of the critical works written by Grierson, written by, you know, this is a very famous book on history of English literature, Harry Blamires. And David Deutsch's, again there is a good book. So a very fantastic book is what I say. This is Helen Gardner. You write down the name of this book, Helen Gardner's John Donne, a collection of essays. Helen Gardner. And again there is a good book, uh, 17th century background, Basil Ville. This is again a good book on John Donne. And the very famous book written by T.S. Eliot, The Metaphysical Poets. So these are some of the books, right? And if you could collect the poems of John Donne, that is Penguin John Donne, edited by John Howard, 1950. So thank you very much.